how much compression ratio we can get away with on 93, 92 octane. That'll be interesting. I am saying that this carburetor is still too small. I'll put this out there. I don't think flow numbers mean anything. All right, so you guys are here wanting to check out the build of the bracket spec 540. Now, this is not maximum horsepower 540. We can make stuff that makes a lot more horsepower. That's not the point. This is really good, economical based pro street car, drive it anywhere, bracket race it, street race it, do whatever you want to. We're gonna show you the whole build up and everything that's in this thing. So, including, if you go to the website, including the world's nicest billet valve covers, the coolest looking ones. Ours. Where's it available at? Here. Where else?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. That's right. Anyways, stay tuned. Watch right here. You're gonna see how this thing is built. We'll show you everything. And so at the end of this, we're gonna show you the last part of testing of how we're gonna do the 4150, because we've already gone through 4500 stuff. So doing a whole bunch of intake manifold testing on this. Really pretty darn interesting. You should watch it. I'm gonna let Joe take over here and start going through just real quickly parts that we're gonna be using on here. It's economical, your typical bracket racer deal, or fast street car deal if you really want to do run some race gas in it. But I think we were talking about it, and I'm now thinking this thing is 13-1. I'm gonna see what we can do camshaft wise and tune wise to see what we can do on 93 octane, if it is possible. How much compression ratio we can get away with on 93, 92 octane. That'll be interesting. All right. And maybe just a little bit of fuel additive. I don't know. We're going to try figuring some stuff out. I think it's be kind of an interesting test and try to figure that out, exactly what we can achieve with this, because it would be a perfectly good drag and drive engine, except for the compression ratio. But if we could do the whole drive and do everything on pump gas, that'll be interesting. So anyways, let's start showing some parts and what we're using just to make a nice economical 540 bracket spec engine.
All right, this is our naturally aspirated 540 big block Chevrolet that we are doing. This is a Dart, big end block, cast iron, all machined in-house, ready to rock and roll, even with a fresh coat of black paint, higher compression, race tech, shelf pistons. Pretty nice. There's a little bit over 40cc dome on these guys with, I believe, 120cc combustion chamber. That gets us right around 13-1. 6-inch, 385 scat forged connecting rods, Molly piston rings, all typical normal stuff, nothing too crazy. This is a scat 4-inch 250 stroke crankshaft, balanced in-house, obviously. Morel Black Mamba solid roller lifters, 842 diameter, tie bar.
Now all that so far is stuff you can get off the shelf, just standard
Absolutely.
parts.
Standard stuff. You can go Jag Summit, Perfect, and Motor State, whatever. Everybody's got this stuff, except our always custom ground SME solid roller camshaft. I don't even know the numbers on this. It's so special. Anyway, so Durabond cam bearings to go with the camshaft. We always get them coated because they're just so much nicer. Love these. They got 3 oil feed holes in them with a band around the backside. I've talked about that before. That's all good. Billet double roller timing set with a built-in Torrington bearing on the back. Again, love this stuff. Not horribly expensive, but very nice. Very good value there. Cast aluminum timing cover, a lot better than the thin sheet metal kind, a lot more rigid. Rollerized thrust button, just little stuff like that. High pressure, high volume M77 HV oil pump, typical big block Chevy stuff. We have a special pickup here for our Steph's custom fabricated aluminum oil pan.
Oh, that's nice.
Very nice piece there. Typical Romac balancer, bolted block, but that's all just normal stuff. On top of our 540 big block Chevrolet, we've got a set of as-cast AFR airflow research Eliminator 335. We got them complete, but we ended up replacing springs, retainers, keepers, spring locators, all that to support our hydraulic roller camshaft. Pack 1248 valve springs. It's a triple spring, plenty of spring pressure there. Tie retainer, pack deal, hardened spring locator, IED. Fits the spring real nice and tight. Fits around our guide, nice and tight. Locates everything. We also have our Jessel's Sportsman rocker arms. Much better. You can buy more expensive shaft mount big block Chevy rocker arms, but this is a good entry level Jessel setup. It's more expensive than your traditional stud mount rocker arm, like a Pro Mag system or something like that. But this is a much better, much more robust system, and they're adjustable, which is really nice. So it's a nice package there.
Nice. So with the heads, have you done a port program on them?
You know, I don't think that would be a bad idea. I think we could probably do a nice. Yeah, I mean, we would come in here anyway, since these are as cast. We would come in here anyway and clean up. We'd bowl blend that a little bit. Just try to clean it up a little bit, make things a little bit smoother. You can't see it, but you can feel a little bit of roughness there, just as the way that they're rough machined. And the runners are all as cast, so we don't really have any control over what the runner looks like and everything like that. But we could do, we have our nice AFR intake manifold gaskets here. We could do a nice gasket match, although it's pretty close already, but I think we can make it a little bit better. Maybe we should talk to Steve about, maybe Steve and Brock about putting these in the CNC machine and do a mild CNC port on these. We'll go in, we can do a real nice CNC. We'll do one by hand, well, two, an intake and exhaust by hand. We'll let Steve do that. He's really good at porting stuff. And then maybe Brock can come in, probe it, and we'll just duplicate exactly that on the rest of them. Hey, Steve. Yeah. What do you think about a little bit of pocket porting and gasket matching on these cylinder heads for the 540 big block?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you might as well. Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. I mean, there's definitely room there just to make that nicer. It's actually a pretty nice port. It's pretty good. The gasket match is pretty minimal, isn't it? Like really minimal. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, just a little bit here or there. Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll have Brock. We just need to do 2 ports. We have to do 1 exhaust and then 2 intake ports, and then 2 intake port gasket matches, and then he'll digitize that, and then just cut them, and then that's all cool. Let's do it.
You'll do a hand port, make it real nice, and then Brock can just duplicate that and make everything perfect.
Yeah, yep, that'll be nice. Yeah, we can do that. That's all cool.
Maybe clean up the valve guide a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go probably up around the valve guide just to take some material out of there, just to open that area up. And these have we'll probably take a little bit out, but you know, they have that valve, they have a extra material around the valve spring pocket. So we'll need to we might not take very much if anything out around there. But yeah, go set it over on the porting bench and I'll get right to it.
Cool.
All right, so just have the these two pockets done. So this is the left port, this is the right port. And they're different. Okay, Big Block Chevrolets, they're different shapes. Same little pocket and chamber size, and the exhausts are all the same, but the intake has a left and a right. All right, one is a good port, one is a bad port. Good port, bad port. Leave a comment why you think this is a bad port and this is a good port. Even though they're basically mirrored, okay? But you see here, came down and just got into that valve guide area, just trying to open up this whole line of sight and to add more volume into this area right through here, and then blend into the valve job right into the bottom of the seat here. Now, there's gonna still have to be, I gotta come in here and do the short turn radius, and I'll show you that in a second. But this is how this whole pocket porting down to the valve guide would be a general pocket port, and then the valve guide would actually be extra. But there's a lot of valve guide material here. I think I'm gonna get a little after this one just a little bit more. This one's better. But I'll come in here and I'll grind a little bit more there. Now, what you'll also see here is the exhaust port on these are pretty good. It would take so minimal. It's actually the seat needs to be blended into the port, not the other way around. Here, the port was blended into the seat. The seat actually just needs to be blended into the port because the port's really nice shape. There's no problem on the exhaust side. The short turn radius is nice. There is like just minimal to do. Enough so that we can't, in general, you're gonna see almost every shop in the world always has some hand polishing here because the tools, the CNC machine tools can, but don't like to go from that transition from aluminum to steel or iron seat like what these are. So I'm not gonna do anything on here because everything I would do, I would have to redo anyways, you follow? Because we're not gonna cut the seat, making the seat match the port because it's so hard on the tooling. And we just have to come into it and do a little blending anyway. So this is nothing. I'm not gonna digitize or do anything there. And to the combustion chamber is okay. No real areas there. I mean, we could spend a bunch of time making everything perfect, but I think there's minimal to zero gain in that whole side of it. Like I said, the exhaust port is pretty good, pretty nice. I don't have any problem there at all. I mean, you could maybe just add a little bit here, but it really isn't going to do anything. The overall shape, port and side, or the overall shape and size of the port is pretty good. Now here, we're going to flip this. So after I got to finish this up, and then we'll come in and I'll show you the short turn radius. The short turn radius is this portion right here on the floor. So this is the roof, this is the floor, this is the short turn. So the turn that the air has to make goes over the short turn. This would be the long term, or the short turn, long turn would be on the roof. The short turn is right here. All right. All right, so you can see here on the short turn, it's just really nice. Now this is not full port. This is not, you know, a cylinder head porter, real professional porter doing, just designing a port and making something. We're not doing that. All we're doing is we're taking their port that they already have in here, and you could do all this yourself, okay? We're gonna do it on a CNC machine because I don't want to stand here and port them. I don't want anybody standing here porting them because it's not profitable or productive. But I can do this in the CNC machine once it's all done, and then come in here and hopefully spend less than an hour blending everything in from the CNC machine and save some time. It's just a nice shape, no sharp edges. There is trick to the actual how far this is laid back, if it's this kind of angle, if it's this kind of angle. There is stuff there, but in the all reality of things, nice. I have some theories here of how this works in the real world versus how it works on a flow bench. I'll put this out there. I don't think flow numbers mean anything. Okay? It's just a little reference number. It's the things that people work on and do. Because it is it doesn't work that way. In real world, it just doesn't work that way. The valve, intake valve and exhaust valve are opening, closing, and it's sending pulses and waves back and forth. It is not a blowing, it's just this constant, oh yeah, look, we've made it perfect. Here how it's like, oh, it's nice and it flows more. I don't really freaking care. I'm looking for volume and shape is the primary thing, because that intake valve is opening up. So imagine how fast this intake valve opens up and then closes and then sends a pulse back up the intake port, right? So that is just factual. That is what it does. So the amount of air that can get into that when the valve opens and then closes, in that, you can figure out the math. It's astronomically fast. Figure out the math here, okay? How fast that valve opens up at, say, 7,000 RPM, okay? How long it's open. And it is hundredths of a second, just off the top of my head, okay, of how long that's open. So it doesn't have time. It doesn't even have time to get air. I will guarantee you, it cannot get air that is sitting right here. So pretend the air is sitting right here. The valve opens up. It doesn't have enough time for the air to go to here. It definitely doesn't have enough time to see air signal all the way up into the plenum area. All right. Anyways, we're getting way in the weeds. I talk about that quite a bit. But long story short is, don't get hung up on flow numbers. Get hung up on line of sight. What you can see, because line of sight is how much of the combustion or how much of the cylinder bore you can see from there, because valve opens, it's line of sight. The air has to take the quickest, shortest path to the cylinder, right in there. wrong thing. Boosh, right in there, okay? And that is what we're looking for. And if you look at my SMX stuff, you know, it has a fantastic line of sight. In fact, you can go to, well, I'll show you this. I'll show you the, here's a little shot of what the SMX looks like looking down that same intake port for that same angle. So if you can do that, and why, and that is, the SMX head doesn't necessarily flow astronomically more than what this head flows, because they flow it on a machine that just is moving a constant stream of air. It's not a constant stream of air that goes through the engine. Valve closes, opens, closes, closes, boom, 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 boom. It's like you'd almost would think about it more like an air hammer. It literally is doing that. So it's how much air you can get in between each pulse of the hammer. Okay, and that's not the same as sitting there flowing on a flow bench. My personal opinion. So anyways, I think I'll just lay this out right here. We'll just open this up just a wee bit and get this over to Brock to do. So let me lay out this and we'll just grind that real quick. All right, so Brock's got these cut now, and then unfortunately there's a problem with some angles and stuff getting in the port that I can't do the guide, so I still have to cut these guides down. The port is all done and blended into the seat really nice, but you can't, for some reason, the tooling, the way the angles are, and up here, it can't reach all the way down here and hit the guide, because I guess normally, this is interesting, normally the tool actually comes in from this way and cuts the guide like this. You would think it would come in this way and cut the guide, but it don't. I don't know why. I don't know why she swallowed the fly. How about that? So anyways, I'm sitting here and just gonna have to hand blend this, and we're gonna have to figure out a change on the fixture, a change in something in order to make it come in here and do that. So I don't have to finish that up. But it's pocket. This is what you would call general pocket port and guide, and that's worth some CFM, especially in a boosted application. So it's shape and size more important than airflow, even though this picks up airflow point blank, but it's shape, size of the runner that is the most important. So we're gonna clean these up, and these are going over to Joe, and Joe's gonna start assembling. All right, so we're back here the next day. You just watched last night, or you should have watched last night. You can go watch it again. That'll help out, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, the 3D printed intake manifold test. Well, they also have the bone stock 4150 carb intake, and then they're full ported. Even though it's got the wrong carburetor sitting on Kyle's got over there. 4150 style manifold. So that's going to be kind of interesting too. Now I have this carburetor that I have right here. That is my house test. Ain't ever going anywhere carburetor because it just always works really well. I don't even remember what all it is. So we're going to start this up, and I'll probably have to do a little bit of tune work on that. But once the tune work's done on this, then we're going to just do the exact same thing where we bolt on the full ported version. Then they're going to obviously they're going to make a prototype. I don't know if we're going to test it in the 3D printed version for them at some point, or they don't have it done now and might not need to. But anyways, we're going to test this thing. So let's get after it. Yeah, interesting. Basically the same amount of torque. Down on horsepower, which you would probably figure out. The carburetor looks pretty good, but obviously it is a smaller carburetor, so it can use some more air. All right, you can see here, let's get our previous, which one do we want to do? I think we'll do that red one. That is the, I'm not sure which one we're going to compare, but this is all three that we compared last night on the Dominator stuff. So that is base intake manifold. This is green is the full ported cast manifold. Red is the prototype 3D printed manifold. This is our new pink line. This, even though it is the same and actually pretty good down here, which is exactly what you'd expect. This is our 4150 stock manifold. Now, let's see what we got for AFR. And like I said, this carburetor is, I don't know why, it is always just pretty spot on the money. 12.62 average. 77, 76, 60. I mean, that is pretty good. Pretty good, pretty normal. This carburetor just always works on everything. It's probably, obviously, just a little too small, but would make a really good street carburetor. I mean, it would be super nice, although I don't think the Dominator is bad on a street, but this definitely works here. I think that we could end up, now I'm not going to go hunting around for the tune very much. I would say with a 4150 carburetor, unless it's some $2,000, $3,000 Billy Bad Boy King of the World carburetor you spend astronomical amounts of money on, not gonna make much more than this. Probably this thing looks like it'd probably make like 830 or so with a 4150 carb.
Same timing as the.
But yeah, everything's exactly the same. We have not messed with anything, so it might make a little. It maybe could make a little bit more, but ultimately with the Dominator, the regular Dominator setup on this thing, it's a 900 horsepower deal. When we go after tuning, really go after jetting, make sure everything's all spot on the money, it's gonna make. It made 870. It's gonna make 900 horsepower. Okay. Then with 4150, it might be. I'm still thinking it probably is gonna be like 830, maybe 850, maybe.
With that manifold or the ported one?
With a ported manifold. So let's put the ported manifold on here, and we'll take a look. I think I'm gonna make one more hit just to back it up, and then we'll do the manifold change. All right, I think that looks pretty consistent. Let's look here, see if it just kind of smoothed out our graph any or not. Yeah, it kind of smoothed out a couple little humps here. That actually looks like a pretty nice looking graph right through there. So we're going to use that right there, that pale green line as our base. Let's look at our O2 sensor, just make sure everything looks the same. Yeah, 12.7, it was 12.66 before. Yeah, that all looks pretty good. Pretty good. All right, let's get the manifold swapped over on it, put the full ported manifold on it, see what that makes. So our, let's see, so our the unported manifold Dominator made 851. This makes 818, 820. We'll just round it up for the sake of rounding it up. 820, nice number.
30 less.
30 horsepower less, stock to stock. So let's see what this ported manifold does. Then I am thinking about putting this 13-to-1 engine on pump gas. I think it'll do it. I think we can run it on pump gas. Let's check it out. All right, so we're up running. The full ported manifold is on there. Take a look at that. And we will, carburetor is exactly the same. And ignition, see, nothing's ever moving the ignition because the crank trigger is on it. Crank trigger determines timing. The distributor and rotor only distribute the spark. It just has to be in the right area. But that does timing, so that never changes. That's interesting. Let's see what's going on here. Every single time, there's a fascinating thing that put the new manifold on and the same carburetor goes richer. Interesting. Interesting thing. I mean, the curve is reasonable, but it is just down. In general, it's down. And then definitely right up here. So I think we're just gonna go 2 sizes in jet.
Would you say that because you put a bigger ported intake on it with the same carburetor, you're pulling more air through the carburetor, which is the main restriction on this engine?
Might be.
So the more air you're pulling through the carb, the more fuel it's going to bring with it. So it makes it richer.
Increase
Yeah.
the signal.
Yeah. Yeah, it continues to increase the signal, so
You should put
Carburet-
a spacer under it.
That's why it's hard to do AVA testing without making tuning changes.
Yeah.
Especially on a carburetor. If it was EFI, it wouldn't really change.
making the
but-
tuning changes for you, basically, with a closed loop. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I think if we do a jet change here on it, yeah, I mean, that all makes sense. And then, interesting. Let's just change some jet and see if we can get this thing to come around just a little bit, get it back up to the AFR it was. Yeah, so if the carburetor is just the restriction, I don't have another carburetor around here. I don't think I have a great big one, great big 4150. Let me go look while you're changing jet. Here is a brand new 1000 CFM 4150. The annular booster, everything. I mean, it is still in the packaging. Perfect. Put this thing on it. Let's see what this does. So we're gonna do the jet change first, then put it on. Because then it's just kind of trying to, because we didn't run that with the other manifold, so we're trying to get an apple-to-apple comparison here first. So we'll get the tune as close as possible to the same. But I think it's definitely working. It's not all happy with the combination. All right, 3 sizes smaller in jet, didn't have 2. I think that's a little too lean. All right, so it's at least back up, but I saw that it was a little bit leaner. We'd have to be in the middle here. But I still think that's pretty good information. I mean, that was actually the best pull that there was yet. So that was better. And then the AFR, I know, was leaner. Yeah, it was lean. That 3 gave us versus a 12.7, it gave us 13.17. So there might be a little bit right there, but it definitely pulls more fuel, more signal, pulls more air. So let's put on the bigger carburetor and see what that thing does. All right, so big carburetor on, big 4150 carburetor on. They do make, I think they make it a bigger stuff. I haven't used this stuff in a really long time. But let's see what this does. We need to close that one door and ready to roll. I am saying that this carburetor is still too small. It is really interesting. Now I think we're probably, yeah, we're still a little bit rich, so it might make a little bit more horsepower. And it's still pulling on the carburetor really hard because I'm having to go down in jet size on this thing. Flat out saying that thing is lacking carburation and intake manifold for that engine. It needs a Dominator setup. I think, you know, this will, I still, if we just kept on dinking around with it, change things around, it would probably make, you know, 830-ish around there. I don't think it's going to make 850, but the stock Dominator is doing, and the stock Dominator manifold. I think it's all good, but it's just interesting information. The stock manifold, for sure, or this manifold for sure is better, and then I think what it does is pulls a restriction on the carburetor more. So what is you're gathering from your cameraman
my eyes.
angle?
Yeah. I'd say that's
All right. So I think we're done beating on this thing. That's a 27th dyno pull on it. Actually, there's a few more in there that I didn't even save. So it's probably 30-ish dyno pulls. Real good combination. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to go back and redo test number 1, which was the unmodified out-of-the-box carburetor and the unmodified out-of-the-box intake manifold. Because that's basically how we're thinking about selling this. I think actually what I normally would be doing is running it with the Pro Systems carburetor, but I think we're going to run it with that box stock. When I say box stock, I mean stock right out of the box carburetor. I mean, there's always going to be some little carburetors here or there that would be running better. And it definitely could end up making the whole thing better, I think. It probably would have been pretty close to 900 with the modified carburetor and the full ported intake manifold. Probably would have been pretty darn close. It's gonna be really interesting. There's gonna be some stuff going on there, because the port job and all the plenum work and everything that's on those manifolds is a lot. I think we're gonna do, and the other thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna get this all running right on the Dominator with the Dominator manifold. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna do another video on high compression 540 on 93 octane fuel, 92, 93 octane fuel, straight out of the gas station down the road. And I think it's gonna actually make really good power, because this is like borderline here, 13-to-1 of where it probably doesn't really. The safest way is to put race gas in it, period. Okay, that's just the safest way of doing it. I would never recommend just going to the track and racing it, and just beating it to death and trying to go as fast as you possibly can on pump gas. But can we drive this thing on pump gas and put race gas in at the racetrack and race it? That's a good one. But I'm gonna save that for a future video coming up on the pump gas setup. So like, subscribe. Hope you like these Saturday videos. I got an idea of something I'm gonna be trying down the road here on a Saturday video. You'll see what that ends up being, and something way out of the normal. And we'll package this up. And remember, this engine is completely for sale. This actual engine is for sale. This is a complete engine I built for Mule. So it is the engine that is on the website right now, if you're interested in that. And we have some cool testing coming up with this LS over here coming up next week. So remember, like, subscribe, share with all your friends. I appreciate all you guys. Have a great day.